the 33rd Sunday of Ordinary Time. I'm going to be sharing about 3 words, maybe more. Worth, value, and worthiness, or worthiness. Today's readings are centered around these important words to me. The first reading is from Proverbs in the wisdom literature, when we hear about often. And there's all these little sayings or songs, getting people to think. It's a collection. This reading is often used as the first reading at a funeral of a wife, mother, woman, friend. And it's a picture of a wonderful wife. My problem with the reading, if you read it, and I really encourage you to read it, because you could feel good about if you were like this woman, especially if you are feminine. Her value is what she does. She stands behind her husband, and he is celebrated at the city gates. She is too, because everyone knows how of a support she is to him. But she does all these good things, and she gets her worth from her value, which is okay in a business context. Her worth is what she does. I was reflecting on my own mother. My mother's worth was her support of my father, preparing him to go to the office and listening to him. But that was her value in one way. Her worth was that she was our mother, and her worth was herself. What I'm getting at is, if you get your worth from what you do, then you are only as good as your last performance. The word evaluate is a very interesting word. E comes from the Latin ex, meaning out of. So I get my value from evaluating. I take my value out of what I do. Am I worthy because of what I do? Am I worthy of praise? The wife that does all these things is worthy of praise, more worthy than a pearl. Her worth is what she does for her husband. And that was the Jewish Hebrew context in the history of men and women in Israel. So let's put that on the side a little bit. The gospel is an unusual one. It's, again, the owner, wealthy, is going on a journey, so he's got 3 servants. To one, he entrusts. He doesn't give them to, but take care of my possessions. And he gives that person 5 of them, and the second 2 of them, and to the third one just 1. So what are these in the parable? And parables are meant to be not figured out, but looked at this way, looked at that way. What does it mean to you now? So it's very easy to take that parable and say, God gave you these gifts, and you will get your worth out of how you take care of those. You will be rewarded for what you do with them. And he does that with the second that got 2, but the guy that got 1, he was afraid. So he buried it in the ground. And the master comes back and celebrates the first. You did very well. You were of great value because you did something with the gifts I gave you. So you've been celebrated doing those things. I'll give you more to do, and you'll be even more celebrated. And the guy with 2, but to the guy that only did, he buried his possessions because he was afraid. And the master said, you're a lazy lout. Throw him out. Okay, I'm going to give you my interpretation of that. I try to live this way, so I'm sharing a little about myself. But I do a lot. All of us here at Creighton University, we really do a lot of things. Is my value what I do? No, I hope not. I might get celebrated. I get a salary for what I do. But what I do is what God gives me is not the gifts, but, and this is the bottom line, this is the parable, this is the mission of Jesus. I want to give you your worthiness. You don't get your worthiness from what you do. You do because I give you something called worthiness or blessedness or grace or relationship. Call it what you will. I'm giving you something that you can't earn. Scratch that. You can't win it. Scratch that. You could, however, bury it. Hide it. It's not enough, you say. I don't feel worthy because I get my worthiness from my worthness, and my worthness comes from evaluating, measuring, weighing, x-raying. On a good day, I do these things. I feel worthy of what? Reward. Our worthiness is that we are created and recreated. Jesus is a new creation, and in him we have our worthiness. And it's not to be evaluated, but valuated. That's the new way of living. To live valuatingly, that I value my worthiness. It's more precious than pearls, or it's more precious than anything I can do. Anything you can do. You do it because of gratitude for the worthiness, for the blessedness, by being created in Christ. That's our faith. We believe that. And again and again at the Eucharist, in giving us his body, he's giving us his worthiness shared with us. He is worthy to be called the Christ because he is in the Trinity of God. And he takes us there. We are trinified. New word. We are embraced in that worthiness. And I know, right before communion, Lord, I am not worthy, comma. But you say the word. You are the word, and you give me the word worthy. And in accepting the Eucharist, we accept that we are worthy, not just to receive the Eucharist, but to be the Eucharist. What I do is because of who I am. And who I am is who he calls me to be and says it creates me to be. You are my body. My body makes you worthy of being who you are. Jesus makes us worthy to receive him. He makes us worthy to live and do things. The things we might do, some people say that's very valuable. I don't want to be evaluated by myself. I want to live valuatingly, graciously, receptively of the worthiness he shares me at the Eucharist. He shares me in all the sacraments. He shares me my worthiness by sharing me his worthiness, his name, his body.